What should you do if you're 60 and don't have anything saved for retirement? Well, if that's you, I want you to know something right away. You are not alone. We all have our stories. So many people reach their 50s or even 60s and realize time slipped by, life got busy, and saving for retirement never really happened. Maybe you put your children through expensive colleges, had a large medical setback, went through a divorce or two, had a bankruptcy, quit a job to care for an aging parent or a disabled child, or just spent everything that you made. I get it. Most people think personal finance is boring and too much work. And that's one of the reasons why many people struggle with money. They give up before they even start. It can feel overwhelming, but here's the truth. It's not too late to take control and make meaningful changes. I've seen incredible financial transformations in as little as 5 years from people who just decided that they were going to stop feeling sorry for themselves, take the bull by the horns, get dedicated, and make changes. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 10 powerful strategies that can help you catch up financially, begin reducing stress, and give yourself more options for retirement. And these go beyond the basics. Yes, we'll cover some fundamentals like budgeting and saving, but we'll also talk about automating your money, creative ways to cut expenses, and how to rethink retirement on your own terms. So let's dive into it. The first and most important step is gaining clarity on where you stand. You can't fix what you don't measure. You know what many people do? They live paycheck to paycheck, committing a huge mistake by what psychologists call mental accounting. They often mentally categorize their money instead of physically writing it down or putting it in a spreadsheet. For instance, maybe you bought some clothes online at Marshall's. That's an expense, you tell yourself, and then the clothes arrive. Something doesn't fit, and then you return it. And then you get a refund. Oh great, it's new money that I can spend. Or in April, you might receive a tax refund from the IRS and you mentally categorize this as extra money that you didn't have. You get excited and start spending it. New clothes, a new TV, even a vacation. The problem is the IRS is just returning your own income that you let them hang on to for a year. So stop mental accounting. Grab a pen and a paper or open up that laptop to your favorite spreadsheet. Google Sheets, Microsoft Excel, or whatever floats your boat. First, put in all your monthly income. That's the easy part. Next, put in all your monthly recurring expenses. Your rent or your mortgage, the internet, electricity, car insurance, disability insurance, all your subscriptions like cable, Netflix, HBO, the NFL Sunday ticket, everything that is the same every single month. These are what are called your fixed expenses. Next, think about all those variable expenses. How much do you spend on groceries, dining out, gas for the car, entertainment, anything that you spend money monthly on, but that varies each month. Next up, have a look at all those expenses and figure out which ones are wants and which ones are needs. This is very important and something I was recently discussing with my 11-year-old daughter. Needs should be added up in one column and wants should be in another. For instance, your internet and cable bill. What you need and what you want are probably two different things. Having internet is a need in this day and age, but cable TV, well, that's a want. Dining out, that's pure luxury. Look, if we are 60 and have nothing saved, we need to get radically different because what we were doing isn't working and we're running out of time. Once you're done with this experiment, you should be left with just a few core needed expenses. Housing, generally you want this to be under 30% of your income. Now, I understand with the high cost of housing in many parts of the country, this may be really hard to do, but it also might mean living in a different area in town, downsizing your home, or reducing your rent, which can also reduce your utilities, your real estate taxes, or your home insurance. Getting you down near the 30% level, or at least 40%, is really important. Next up is groceries. You should aim to keep grocery spending around 10% of your income. And here as well, I get that grocery costs are much higher recently. If your number is above 10%, that may mean buying in bulk or purchasing less expensive items. I'm betting you probably have food waste each week. Let's tighten things up here. Next up is utilities and insurance. Items like your cell phone, your power and your water bill, internet costs, the gym, car and home insurance. We want to shoot to keep this number under 10% of your income as well. You might notice that I put the gym in here. Well, this is important if you're actually using the gym. As we get older, medical costs get greater. So the more healthy and active that we can be, the less we will spend in medical costs, and the more energy we will have, and the more optimistic you will be. I see fitness as being an important part of the financial plan and more of a need than it is a want. That total number becomes the bare minimum for you to survive each month. Your needs. And hopefully this number can be less than 50% of your income each month. If it isn't under 50%, you really need to figure out ways to reduce that number because you're running out of time. Now, normally I'm fine with this number being 60%, but we're in the home stretch here. It's time to really tighten the belt and live well below our means. If you're already well under 50%, well, congratulations. That means if you wish, you can add back some of the wants to your life. Maybe dining out some, maybe a Netflix subscription, or some small luxury. All right. So do you want some help with the spreadsheet? I have a free one for you. I'll provide a link to it in the description to help you. Just click that link and then make a copy for yourself. Next, you need to consider your timeline. Do you have 5, 10, or maybe 15 years before you retire? Let's say you're 60 and you could realistically work another 10 years in your current position. If you're living on 50% of your income, you could theoretically save 50% of your income. That means in 10 years, you will have saved 5 years of your salary. That could go a long way toward building a nest egg for a retirement that is more than Franks and beans. Think of this like planning a road trip. You need to know your starting point before you can map out the route. Even if the numbers aren't where you want them to be, facing them head on gives you power. And once you see the full picture, you can make smarter, more focused decisions. Second, I want you to complete a 60-day spending audit. If a budget gives you direction, a spending audit gives you the truth. For 2 full months, track every single expense. Yes, even the coffee runs and the Amazon impulse buys. You can do it manually, or you can use an app like I do, Rocket Money. Rocket Money tracks all of your non-cash spending every month, giving you incredible visibility and providing notifications if things are out of line. The reason I say 2 months is that almost everything that you will buy periodically will show up over a 60-day period. This exercise can be eye-opening. You'll see patterns that you didn't realize were costing you hundreds, maybe thousands every year. You'll then be able to see if there are things that you can cut back on, or maybe some expenses that you could restructure. And once you know where the leaks are, you can plug them. And when you redirect those dollars into savings or investments, you create momentum toward building wealth, even if you're starting later in life. All right, now that we've got that done, number 3, let's build your emergency fund. Instead of thinking about what you can't buy now that you're eliminating your wants, think about how each dollar can be directed toward building a retirement cushion. When you know where your money is flowing, you'll feel more control and less stress because you're making intentional choices. We've all read the nearly annual news stories that over half the country doesn't have enough set aside to cover an unexpected $1,000 emergency expense. Well, open an FDIC-insured high-yield savings account and begin depositing all the extra money that you aren't spending on the wants into it every single month. Better yet, do it automatically, and more on automation later. This will build your emergency fund fast. The last thing that we need is having some unexpected expense come up and ruin our newfound momentum. If you're able to save 50% of your paycheck into the account, you'll have a 6-month emergency fund built up very quickly and immediately be on more solid financial footing. And that puts us into step number 4 here. Pay off your debt. Maybe you bought clothing that you couldn't afford, or you took a vacation too big for your budget. Maybe you helped out a child, or you financed a car. Now is the time to get that paid off ASAP. Hopefully at 60 you don't have any debt, and you can skip this step. But if you do, it's like an anchor dragging you down. How you pay it off and what you pay off is up to you. You could pay off the highest interest rate debt first, the avalanche method. Or you could pay off the debt with the smallest payment first, the snowball method. Either way, now that your emergency fund is built, having 0 non-mortgage debt is paramount to successful retirement planning. Most credit cards have interest rates north of 20%. Even a couple months of interest can be huge. Car loans, while those are often less than 20%, auto debt is some of the worst debt that you can have. Loans on an asset that depreciates every day it sits in your driveway hinders your ability to build wealth. If you have a car loan, find out how much you could get for the current car. Most likely, you can downsize, meaning you can buy a less expensive used car that may not be as nice, but it also should free up cash to save and invest. Remember, having a nice car that sits by itself in the driveway or at work 90% of the time is not a good use of your money. See the Forest Through the Trees is more than a channel. It's a community. Get a private membership for just $2.99 a month and get perks like early video access. Click that join button to learn more. Number 5, automate your savings and investing. Here's where things get powerful. Now that you have your emergency fund built and have paid off your debt, it's time to start saving and investing. The best way to save consistently isn't willpower, it's automation. Set up an automatic transfer every payday into a retirement or an investment account. That way saving happens without you having to think about it. If you have access to a retirement plan at work and they provide a match, this is a no-brainer. If you don't have access to one, a Roth IRA is probably the way to go. You can get $8,000 per year in there with the catch-up contribution each year. And while you don't get a tax break on the way in, it grows without taxes and you can take it out without taxes. And it does not count as provisional income that could make your Social Security taxable. Think about this. According to Forbes, the median earnings of someone aged 55 to 64 in the US is $67,704 a year or $33 an hour. Let's round it to $68,000 a year. If you pay 15% to federal and state taxes, that means you bring home about $58,000 per year. 50% of that is $29,000. 40% is a little over $23K. That's a lot to potentially save for your retirement if you can live on half your income. And here's the next level. Increase the amount automatically every 6 months. Remember, we don't have 30 years to slowly increase and build wealth. We have 5, 10, maybe 15 years. If you get a raise, bump up your contribution. Even small increases compound dramatically over time. And this is how you build wealth in the background without having to constantly wrestle with the decision of whether to save or spend. Now that the automation is built, that's just half the battle. You have to actually invest the money. Just because you open a Roth IRA or contribute to a 401k at work doesn't mean the money gets invested. How much money you make or don't make depends on actually choosing investments. A great way to do it would be a life cycle or a target date fund that's based on your year of retirement. These funds generally invest in low-cost stock and bond market index funds around the globe, getting you great diversification at a low cost. Don't shoot for the stars investing in extremely risky securities, thinking that you've got to try to make up for lost time. The key here is balanced, diversified investing that can participate in the markets. But the key is to get the savings invested. I've seen too many people invest for years or even decades in retirement accounts, but they kept it all in cash or a money market rather than a diversified portfolio. All right, now that we've got all this going, we're going to go to step 6. Sometimes traditional solutions aren't enough. You need to get creative. And that might mean downsizing into a smaller home to free up cash like I talked about before. Or maybe renting out part of your house or finding a roommate. I know you may not want to share your home at this stage of life, but if you have a recently divorced or widowed friend, maybe it's a perfect time to share expenses and build wealth. You could also find part-time consulting work that pays well but doesn't feel like a grind. Or maybe you want to pick up some Uber or Lyft income on the side that you can dump into your Roth IRA. I've seen couples house hack by renting their basement. Others move closer to public transportation and save thousands on their cars. And even some start small online businesses in their 60s that created an extra income stream. The point is, be willing to think differently. And along those lines, think about working longer, but on your own terms. For decades, 65 has been stamped into our heads as the age you're supposed to retire. But times have changed. People are generally living longer and staying healthier. Retiring at 65 could mean funding 20 or even 30 years of retirement, and that's a long time. Working a few extra years has a double benefit. You earn more that can be saved and invested, And you shorten the number of years you'll need to rely on that savings. But here's the key. You don't have to keep working in the same job that you dislike now. Maybe you shift into part-time work, freelance consulting, or even turn a hobby into a side hustle. Think of work as a tool, not as a punishment, and design it around your lifestyle. Check this out as an example. What if I type this into ChatGPT? If I am 60 years old and in good health, but I don't want to fully retire, what are 5 of the most desirable, fun, and entertaining jobs that I could get? Well, here we go. What about a tour guide or a travel host at museums or historical site? Or event staff or coordinator at sporting events, concerts, or a theater? Not only do you get to help people, you get to attend events for free. Golf course or resort ambassador. Many resorts, country clubs, or golf courses are looking for fun people to help greet people and manage check-ins. You could lead classes in something that you're passionate about, like photography, cooking, gardening, woodworking, or even fitness, like pickleball. And finally, what about a ski lodge host or national park guide, or working at festivals, fairs, or even a marina? These are all ways to reimagine work in your 60s in a way that can provide income and fund your retirement savings. Now, if you're in the United States, delaying Social Security can be one of the most powerful moves you can make. Every year you wait past full retirement age increases your benefit. And if you can hold off until 70, the difference can be huge, sometimes thousands more every year for life. If you're 60 without savings, then you're going to need to work in some capacity to fund retirement. In 2025, as soon as you make over $23,400, your Social Security, if you take it before full retirement age, is reduced $1 for every $2 over that limit. In most cases, taking Social Security early makes little sense if you're still working. Instead, let it keep compounding at 8% a year. For many people, waiting means locking in a much stronger financial foundation later in retirement. Okay, we talked about this earlier. Healthcare is one of the biggest costs in retirement and one of the hardest ones to predict. There's many comments in my videos about people who knew someone, a relative, a friend, who retired and then passed away 1 or 2 years right after retirement. We have no idea what is going to happen to us. But here's what you can control: your health today. Regular exercise, a healthy diet, and managing stress don't just improve your quality of life. They save you thousands down the road in medical bills, prescriptions, and long-term care. I want you to think of fitness and health as part of your retirement plan, and that's why I included a gym membership as a need, not a want, in your cash flow. Because the healthier you are, the less money you'll spend on avoidable medical costs, and the more energy you'll have to enjoy your retirement years. Finally, never stop learning. The financial world changes, and staying informed helps you make smarter decisions. Read books, watch videos on YouTube, listen to podcasts, keep feeding your mind. But just as important as learning is your mindset. You may feel like you've run out of time, but you haven't. Faith in yourself, faith in your future, and determination to take action will carry you further than you think. You're more capable than you realize, and with consistent effort, you can still create a meaningful retirement. This is your wake-up call. If you're 60 with nothing saved for retirement, I'm here to say, don't give up. Now is the time to get serious. Execute these 10 steps, and I'm sure in 5 years, you'll be in a much better financial position. Whether it's automating your savings, rethinking work, or simply getting clear on your numbers, every step you take builds momentum. If you found this video helpful, let me know down in the comments which strategy you thought was the best. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos that will help you move toward financial freedom. And if you own a business and are interested in optimizing your financial planning, you can get started working with me today by visiting celestialwm.com and clicking the Start Here tab to schedule an initial call. Still not sure that you want to talk? Well, head over to my resource center and learn more about my financial planning process by watching my 35-minute complimentary training. And check out this video next for even more ways to supercharge your net worth.